This time on Kawaii-Fi Radio, we struggle with the name of our review topic. Alright, so we're talking about Patlabor.
Patrick's Labours.
We talk about Japan's soundtrack.
If I go to Japan and the countryside doesn't sound like that,
Just there's a
I
taiko
want the
drummer
drums,
following you around everywhere.
You'll hear the cicadas. I can guarantee you that when I was there.
they were just screaming
They
constantly.
were screaming.
And we head back to the 80s to talk about the distant future.
The distant future, the
In the-
1980s.
The distant future of 1999.
1999.
It's over 9,000!
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi.
Konnichiwa and welcome. You're tuned in to Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast we dive into the world of anime and manga. I'm Kyle, and joining me are my co-hosts, Aaron and Kira Lee. How are you both today?
Good.
Good.
Yes.
Very ominous.
Good. This time, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going back to the 80s to talk about a classic mecha sci-fi mystery franchise called Patlabor.
Patlabor?
Patlabor. Well, there's no E on the end, so Patlabor.
I mean,
Patlabor.
they're kind of labor-based mechs.
Yeah, that
so-
makes more sense. When you said it that way, it
yeah.
made more sense to me. Patlabor. We're going to go with Patlabor.
Pat Labrador. Do it. Pat your Labrador.
Patlabor. Now, it is a mecha series that has had like novels, mangas, OVAs, TV series, but we're just gonna look at one of the films, and we'll give the rest of the context after that, because this is one that was created by the guy who did Ghost in the Shell.
Yes, and a lot of the designs shine through with that. Like, if you look
Same
at
with storytelling.
Yeah. I mean, especially with the whole mystery thing, but the pacing's completely different.
Oh, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
something we'll get into in a bit more details in a moment, so do stick around for that. Now, if you are new to the podcast, welcome! We also create anime videos and interviews on our YouTube, and you can find the links for that in the description. There's Patreons and social medias. That's all below, but let's get stuck in, because we need to talk about what we've been watching.
I have no idea how old I am or where I came from.
Nani? Ohio!
Take time! I gotta go!
I have to know! Hooray! I did the thing! Doo-doo-doo.
Oni-chan, nani wo miru?
What we're watching.
So, Aaron,
Yes.
we get to start off with you, good sir.
Oh, sweet.
What have you been watching the past fortnight?
Digimon Ghost Game, which shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone because
I mean, no, it's not much of a surprise, but I believe this is very different from the Digimon us 90s kids would have grown up with.
yeah. So this one, completely different. It's mostly marketed as a way to sell the new Vital bracelets.
Oh, the smartwatchy.
They're really cool.
They're
Oh.
so cool. I got one from Shumi Shop.
So you know how like you used to have
Sponsor us
like
more.
the original Digimon little cartridges?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
that, but a smartwatch.
Yeah.
Like a Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Well, it's also really good because like the more you exercise, the more it powers up the Digimon, and like, it gives you bonus missions where you do different exercises. So you actually have to do squats or crunches or run.
Whoa! I was not expecting it to be that integrated into like
Yeah,
the
it's
health part.
super cool.
Nice. Have you been doing exercise because of it?
Yes.
That's great. Well
Which
done.
is why I've run out of notches on my belt. So thank you, Digimon.
All right. Well, Digimon Ghost Game. What's the premise?
So it's set in the distant future where holograms are a more common thing, and you see them around, and they've sort of got an AI to them, but not really. But then there's these new holograms that have sort of entered that nobody knows where they came from, and they're called I think they're just called ghosts, and they're Digimon. And it's because
This is in the real world.
in the real world, yeah. And so what's happened is there's been like a weird merging of the human world and the Digimon world, where Digimon are crossing over without intending to, and then they're getting stuck in the human world. And because they're stuck there, like at first they're invisible and can't interact with anything, but as they get more frustrated and everything builds up in them, they begin to be able to affect the real world and then eventually build a physical manifestation where they can then scare the bejeebers out of people.
Is it like a parallel universe sort of
The digital
deal?
world's always been parallel to the human world.
right.
So, like,
It's just gotten closer.
yeah, there's a little bit of overlap now.
So sort of a bit like Gate, like thus the JSDF went there, where there's like a gateway where people can cross between multiple worlds, sort of
Yeah.
ideas. They're parallel, but there are occasionally breach points,
Yeah.
like
Well-
Godzilla Singular Point.
So the main character, Hero, his father went to the digital world, just bailed on him completely.
It's Tron all over again.
And so he sent back a Digivice for Hero and a little DIM card, which is what you use to plug in to select the Digimon you get with the Vital Bracelet. And basically that made his Digimon partner, Gamamon, come into the world. And his father left him a note going, please take care of Gamamon, treat him like a younger brother, blah, blah, blah. I'm in the digital world currently, so I'll get back to you later.
Hashtag YOLO.
Yeah. And so Hero's trying to find out about the digital world and how to get there and how to get to his dad. And there's a black Gatomon that is running between the digital world and the real world to drop packages off to Hero every now and then.
Oh, cool.
So that knows where the portal is, and it can open it for certain people, which they covered in a recent episode. But for the most part, it's just Data coming over and not knowing what to do. And
because you were saying like one of them is like basically takes on the guise of a human being.
yes, that was in the recent episode. That was Arukenimon in English or Arachnimon in Japanese, which is from season 2. It was the one that was running around with Mummymon that was sort of like...
A big sort of spider person.
Yeah.
Looked like a D&D monster.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting to watch because it's a lot more of a darker twist on Digimon, because normally it's just like, oh, wow, we got to save the digital world, we got to best friends. Whereas this Hero's partner, Gamamon, he's had dark Digivolutions where Hero completely loses control over him.
Wow.
And there's been parts where other Digimon have like seen signs of the dark Digivolution and they've been like, oh no, we're not messing with that, peace out. But these same Digimon then go around, like Clockmon was stealing people's lifespans and Arachnimon was stealing people's brains and eating them, like
like real life.
like, so they're leaving people as empty husks and like straight up killing them.
Damn.
So this, like, it's, don't get me wrong, it's still very childish and like Digimon based, but it can be quite dark at parts.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, Digimon Ghost Game is on Crunchyroll worldwide at the moment, so worth checking out. I'm guessing that will be everywhere once it's all done.
Yeah.
Gonna close the Penguin tab. Unless you've listened to the Patreon Extra, you won't know what I'm talking about. If you have, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Don't sign up to the Patreon for the Penguin stuff, please.
Yeah,
It's
please,
deadly.
please don't. Oh God. Now, Kira, you have been watching Kakegurui.
Yeah, so
Kakegurui.
yeah, it's hard pronunciation.
Kakegurui.
Yes.
I've got it.
What's the English translation?
Don't know. Actually,
That
that's,
gambling anime. You know the one.
It's the gambling
it's
anime.
the gambling anime. So I've watched the whole first season and halfway through the second season.
Compulsive gambler is the translation.
Yeah.
Okay, now this initially I was kind of a bit on it because I thought it was very ecchi focused. Ecchi?
Etchy.
Ecchi. No,
Ecchi.
It's supposed to be like the letter H.
Yeah. But it's apparently not as sort of perverse as I thought. Yeah.
I don't think it is very perverse. Like, there's not like upskirts or anything like that. The only sort of scenes is when she sort of gets a little bit too involved with the gambling. But that's not very often. Maybe once every 2 episodes, I would say.
It's a very intense serotonin boost.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably the best way to describe it, actually.
Yeah. Because it's not the winning that is, that she enjoys. It's the gamble itself. So it's the possibility of winning or losing.
So it's the thrill of potentially being caught out.
Yeah.
The thrill of the game.
The thrill of the game.
And it's just really interesting seeing all the different games as well as all the different ways to cheat the games.
And only rich people can enter this school, so everyone's got money to burn.
Yep. And then if you run out of money, then your life is gambled. So then like you get a life plan where they like say who you're going to marry, how many kids you're going to have, all of that. They plan your life out because
That's messed up.
Yeah.
I was going to say, sign me up. I either get money or I get married.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. Let's go.
Wow. I mean, like, I'm just having a look at like the titles for the episodes, and I think every single episode in season 1 has woman in the title, and it seems to be the same for season 2. So it's definitely focused on the female cast predominantly, but there are male cast in there every now and then as well.
Yeah, there is. The first season was just with the school council, like the main character sort of bringing down the school council.
Ooh. Did she force them all to get life plans?
No, I think, she was, it's really hard. She kind of was losing, but winning. She had a life plan herself. Like, because...
Oh, so because she's already got a life plan, she's kind of got nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly. But she's still got a lot of money. She's just deciding not to pay her debts. So she's staying as a pet, which is someone who has a lot of debts that they need to pay in the school. And people treat them awfully, the pets. But she enjoys that because she's like, yeah, whatever.
Yep.
I enjoyed the gamble. Here I am.
Thanks, guys.
Meow.
Like, yeah.
It's going to be a bit weird. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Now, this is on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this began streaming in 2017, it looks like. So season 2 came out in 2019. Both of them are on Netflix worldwide at this stage. And look, sounds interesting. Worth a look, especially if you're interested in seeing like a different take on the high school drama sort of storyline, isn't it? I have been watching In the Land of Leedale.
Yes.
I binged it.
How good is it?
It's so good.
It's so comfy.
It's like Konosuba, but comfy. It's probably the easiest way to explain it. There's a lot of sort of gag humor and comedy entwined into it. There's a lot of subversion of expectations of how things are going to turn out. But it's not because the main character's dumb.
No.
It's because the main character is just a young girl who played a video game and now is stuck inside the video game, and she's trying to figure out what happened.
It's like being stuck in your favorite video game from high school. Like, for me, that'd be like being stuck in WoW again and just seeing all the stuff that's happened and just experiencing it. Like, it's Sword Art Online, but good. You're trapped in the game, but nothing's going wrong.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm just sitting there going, wow, that's a pretty harsh commentary on Sword Art Online.
It's not wrong.
I mean, look, we'll put this out here. We've mentioned it before. Sword Art Online has some very problematic themes.
Yeah.
Sword Art Online was trying to copy .hack and it failed completely. And I am more than happy to talk about .hack at length.
Yes. I found Sword Art Online to be a more accessible version which could lead people to .hack. If people really enjoyed the storyline and the elements of the world building and wanted more of that, they could then look at .hack and go, well, it's not only an anime series, but there's a game series and all these other things I can take on.
Sure.
Sword Art Online just from a storytelling perspective, very linear.
They have
.hack
games
a
though
bit
as
more
well.
wide.
Yeah,
it does, but the games are definitely a lot more combat focused.
Yeah.
And the thing I found with Sword Art Online was that the fans of it don't want anything else. Like, there's also Log Horizon, which is pretty good.
Log Horizon's great.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Log
But fans of Sword Art Online don't want anything but Sword Art Online.
This is true. And I mean, there's more coming and more on the way. But we're not talking about Sword Art Online because we're talking about In the Land of Leedale.
The good one.
the good one. It's like it's mixing Sword Art Online with Bofuri.
Yes.
I think would
100%.
probably be the best explanation without any of the high stakes, violent or adult themes of Sword Art.
Actually, it's just Bofuri without the defense because she's like super maxed out level.
But it's Bofuri, but she can't log out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You got me there.
And it's literally written in all of the synopsises for it. So before you watch Land of Dida, but the main character's dead in real life. That's our understanding. It might not be true. We don't know. But the understanding is she died while logged in and has woken up inside the game and can't log out, obviously, because she's dead. And
You die in real life, you die in the game.
No, you die in real life. You don't die in the game if you're logged in. It copies your stuff over there. But yeah, look, she wakes up and finds herself in the world of Liddell 200 years after the last time she remembers logging in, and
in game time, not real life time, because we don't know if they're parallel or like.
So yeah, and among those inhabitants are her children, i.e., the ones that she made in character creation. So it's
two elves and my favorite
dwarf. I love the dwarf. He's so cute. So it's I love how Crunchyroll describes it. A very chill adventure filled with laughs and tears, about a girl who transferred into a game world and her very unique friends is about to begin. So
okay, but
why do they always say it's about to begin? Of course it is. It's a series. That's how it starts.
I loved the innkeeper's daughter in the first few episodes.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Oh, she's back.
Yes.
Yeah, no, she goes back to visit the town for an episode.
Well, yeah, she said she had to.
Yeah.
And the daughter's not allowed to reveal the secret.
Yeah.
Under punishment of severe death.
Well, when she arrives, she gently goes, I was going to tell him. She's like, oh.
Talking big game there, little girl. Let's go.
Yeah. But, look, I mean, I think the only criticism I really have for In the Land of Liddell is the OP and ED aren't anything to write home about, but everything else about it is great. So you'll watch the opening once and then you'll
just skip
it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a shame because there's some series where it's like the story is so good, but the opening is just, eh.
Yeah, but you also get the inverse.
Oh, I know, right?
Attack on Titan. Controversial opinion.
Very
from Aaron.
controversial opinion. Well, you got to hold them for the news segment.
This isn't news.
No, I mean, look, not everyone is necessarily enjoying the new Attack on Titan. I also love all the commentary online about people who are like, Mappa takes over production. How are we going to make people look tired? Oh, we're just going to draw on their faces.
Worked for Jigglypuff.
Yeah, but I mean, Pokemon's kind of a different target demographic. But yeah, look, if you do want to watch In the Land of Liddell, Crunchyroll as well worldwide. Most things are going to be Crunchyroll worldwide in the coming season. Next season's insane, and that will be our next episode as well.
Woo!
A season preview. So that's.
Oh, dang it, I'm not here.
Yeah, we can get your recommendations and put them in either way.
I recommend anime.
Well, I mean, yeah. Yeah. We always do. But yes, those are words. What are they today?
Those are what we're watching.
Those have been what we've been watching this past fortnight. So, if you have been watching similar things, let us know in the comment whether that's something old or something new. We'd love to hear
something borrowed, something blue.
Pikachu?
Yes.
There we go. So let us know on episode preview posts on social media what you've been watching or in the comment section over on YouTube. But without that, we now have to go and get into something truly retro.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's so good.
It's so 80s.
Nani?
Retro classics.
I love that sting.
It's cool. It's a bop.
It's a bop. All right, so we're talking about Patlabor.
Patrick's Labours.
I'm going to go with Patlabor. So Patlabor, the movie from 1989. Now, all three of us have watched this.
Yeah.
All three of us had varying success. Now, I think first thing we need to do is let's give a little bit of background on what Patlabor is about. I actually do. Oh, okay. It's a portmanteau of patrol and labour.
Okay.
So
I mean, it makes sense because
Patlabor.
there's the cop ones and then there's the construction ones. And
Yeah. So it is a Japanese sci-fi media franchise created by Headgear. Now, Headgear are a group of manga artists, directors, screenwriters, designers, and character designers. That includes Masami Yuki, Mamoru Oshii from Ghost in the Shell. Screenwriter is Kazunori Ito. Now, I know that name. Yeah, he wrote .hack and Ghost in the Shell.
Hey!
So, yeah.
Tie-in.
Funny how it all connects.
This is proof we're living in a simulation.
No, it's just proof that the old school anime industry was a lot smaller than it is today. Now, the franchise includes a manga, a TV series, 2 OVAs, 3 feature-length movies, 2 light novel series, a short film compilation, and... what? Named Mini Pato because of its super deformed chibi drawing style. It's got live action series and a live action film as well, which we haven't been able to find yet. So it's been adapted for video games. It's licensed products for OST toys, such as model kits as well, as you'd expect, because it's a mecha.
Actually, I think I saw some of those online.
Mm-hmm. And animations from Patlabor were apparently used extensively in the music video Juke Joint Jezebel by KMFDM in 1995.
Ooh.
I do not know that song.
Are we going to have to look it up after this?
Yeah, we're going to have to. Apparently it's an instrumental song.
Oh.
Oh, no. A song by industrial rock group KMFDM from their album Nihil. It's their most
Industrial
widely
rock?
known song. Okay.
Huh.
I do not know that, but it sold around 3 million copies. So go figure. Now, Patlabor starts in the 80s, was when it all kind of kicked off, really.
The distant future, the 1980s.
No, when it was written.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The distant future of 1999.
1999, yeah.
So the manga started in 1988 and ran until 1994. They had OVAs in 1988 and 1989, and then they had more OVAs, and then films, and then series. So there's been a lot released from it.
Between movie 2 and 3, wasn't there like 20 years?
Yeah, it was a bit of a gap. I'll have to pull that up. But we're talking about the film because it seems like the most easily accessible entry point, and it's pretty straightforward. But there's a few issues with it.
Yeah.
I
The
don't now-
best
now-
access point.
Yeah.
Yeah, look.
Look,
Just because it's accessible doesn't mean that it's easy to watch.
yeah, it's the most accessible because it's the one that you can buy on Amazon.
Oh,
Though
okay.
you can't.
Right.
The series, I haven't been able to find them streaming.
Oh.
So it's to get into it, and then I think you'd have to go buy Blu-rays and DVDs. So the plot of Patlabor 1989. It's set in Tokyo in 1999. Tokyo is undergoing a massive redevelopment program. Old suburbs are being demolished and human-made islands are being constructed in Tokyo Bay under something called the Babylon Project. Now, dominating the scene is the Ark, a huge man-made island that serves as the project's nerve center and the chief labor manufacturing facility. Labors are robots that are used to replace manual labor and can do, replace 10 to 100 people or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
But several of the labors being used in Tokyo, especially those built by Shinohara Heavy Industries, suddenly go haywire while unattended, and it's up to the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department's second special vehicles section to find out what's going on. Now,
Nothing's going on.
well, there is stuff going on. Now, I think let's kind of get this out of the way early. If you had to rate it out of 10, what would you give it?
You want to go first?
Well, I can't rate it because I couldn't sit through it.
Okay, so
so
that's a 0.
That's a 0. Aaron?
Look, I honestly struggled so hard with it.
Mm.
Like, I had to keep taking breaks, and I couldn't focus on the movie itself. So maybe but the beginning and end were good.
Yeah.
But
Just
the action parts.
Did it feel like they took far too long to, it could have been shorter?
Yes,
Okay.
they could have condensed a lot of it and shown more of the Patlabors going wild
Mm.
and being oh look, it's
bit
happening
more like
more and more,
Bubblegum
and more
Crisis
frequently.
does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I probably rate it a
3?
3. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, but I also do really like this old school style of cinematic storytelling, the way they've done it. It doesn't, if you did this for a modern film, it would flop. Straight up, it would
Yep.
flop.
Yeah.
The pacing is slow, and it's purposefully slow. And that's not going to let's be blunt, not everyone's going to like it.
No.
To be honest, I think only a very niche market of people are going to like it. We know Kagu, one of our Patreons, is a big fan of it.
Hi, Kagu.
I quite enjoyed it. Kenny did enjoy it, but also had similar criticisms as everyone's had, which is, one, the pacing is really slow.
Yeah.
the time it takes for things to happen as well and progress seems really slow. And sometimes there are scenes which you think could have just been cut out because they weren't necessary.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, you probably could have condensed all 3 movies into one movie, and that would have been great.
Well, I do wonder if it was a case that they had the series and thought, well, this story doesn't fit into 2 episodes, so maybe we'll make it into a film.
Maybe.
I mean...
Yeah, but then
it felt
Yeah.
really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll go through the list because I wrote notes while I was doing it. So art quality. Now, this is very retro, it's very 80s, hard lines, traditional cell animation. And it's not going to be to everyone's taste. But I personally, as the first animes I saw having come from that generation, it felt very nostalgic to me.
And for me, it's just absolutely not...
Just undigestible.
I actually really like the art style. Like,
I couldn't.
it's got that nice texture to it. And the people look more like people than they do in modern anime with the big old glowy eyes and the crazy hair colors and the
Well, I mean, they did kind of do some of those really weird perspective shifts when it's like the guy leaning in, they've gone like ultra wide. He's like, what the...
It's what happens when you press your forehead against your partners and then you're just looking at each other in the eyes and it's super weird and like, oh man.
Well, it's like, putting your face against a mirror and then looking at what's behind you. That's the perspective shot, but being able to see your face as well.
Yeah.
It's like your face is not, you can't see your face properly, so it feels a bit distorted and a bit weird. That's probably the easiest way to replicate it. So that was ultra close and ultra deformed in my opinion, but I know why they tried it. Now, I think it's probably worth noting that this, while not the first thing Headgear as a group produced, it was one of their first.
So their early
films.
stuff when they were sort of figuring stuff out.
Exactly. So they were involved in the TV series. They have been involved in... Okay, no, I was wrong. They have been involved in all the films and the live action. Okay. They've been involved in everything Patlabor. No, that's just Google telling me that everything is in the Patlabor list, actually, not everything that's in Headgear. Oh, no, I'm wrong. I just went to their anime news network and my anime list listing. It's all just Patlabor. Okay, so Patlabor is these guys. So this was all produced at Studio Dean, and the Headgear is basically been involved in everything Patlabor, it seems. One of the things I did note down was that they did have good use of lighting and shadows for sceneries and characters, particularly considering the age of this animation. Like, it's 1989, and not a lot of them were doing this style of animation or use of light. Like, they were either characters would be in full light or no light for a lot of series at this point. And then in the 90s, they kind of all went, oh, that looks really good. We saw Akira. We saw, Ghost in the Shell. Maybe we should do that too. And people started adding that to it. I also thought it was kind of cool that you used multi-layered cell movement, which was for the backgrounds all moving at different paces. Now, back in the day, that was all done manually by creating 4 or 3 different backgrounds and moving them manually throughout the process.
Oh, wow.
So it was a really involved thing to do. And it was really beautiful to see. Like they do it now using CG and so on, but there's just something about that really old school perspective shift that I love it. It really hits me to the core.
That's one of the things I appreciate about this art style is that it's all hand done. There's no CG. Like, it's just, there's something about that.
I was going to say, like, a mecha series which doesn't have CG is practically unheard of since 2010. Like, they will use CG in some shape or form, even if it's just for, like, not the mech, but for something else. It will be used.
Oh, it's mostly the mech anyway.
I mean, it is a lot for mech, but, like, we've seen, like, series where, like, the mech will be standing in its cradle, if you will, and everything around it the mech will be drawn normally, like it's hand-drawn. Everything else will look hand-drawn, but the little robots out the front moving stuff around are CG, and it's like, it would have been better to just not have them.
Make everything uniform.
Now, soundtrack, I think, is worth mentioning for this.
I only watched the dub, so I didn't really hear much of the soundtrack.
Oh, no, the dub has the soundtrack too.
Yeah, but like, I couldn't hear it with the volume and stuff.
This is probably the bits where you were tuned out as well.
Probably.
Yeah, because the soundtrack was used a lot in the scenes where there wasn't dialogue. So it was used to kind of tell the soundtrack was meant to be used in those scenes to replace the dialogue, to set the scene for what these people were doing. And
Build the atmosphere.
And to be honest, what they were really kind of doing was like doing googly. Why am I saying Googling? They're doing research. You don't research on Google.
They were Googling
They're
in
investigating.
the 90s, 80s.
So it's kind of that traditional Japanese ambience sound. Like, you've got the
crickets and...
No, not the crickets, like the really light taiko drummings and the cicadas, and then they've got like the sort of like odd traditional Japanese string instruments that we don't hear very often and stuff like that. It was used very heavily in Akira, which is like, considering these guys were involved in Akira, it makes sense that this was kind of, they went, oh, that's actually pretty good for cyberpunky stuff. Let's do it for that. But if you watched a lot of like 90s and 80s tech orientated anime, you'll recognize this music. Like straight away, you'll just be like, here it is again. Because they used it in Ghost in the Shell, Akira, even Neon Genesis had it.
If I go to Japan and the countryside doesn't sound like that, I'm suing Japan.
What, you mean the cicadas?
Everything.
Just there's a taiko drummer following you around everywhere.
You'll hear the cicadas. I can guarantee you that when I was there. My goodness.
They were just screaming.
They were
shut up.
screaming.
Nice.
When you like hear people complaining, like Japanese people complaining about the cicadas, you're like, oh, it can't be that bad. It is that bad.
I think we need to touch on one of the really silly parts of this, and that's the dub.
Yeah.
And even actually, it's not even just the dub; it's the dialogue. Even the subs the same.
Yeah, I'm sorry as well. It's what got me to I was like, I can't. Combination of the two and it's
really stilted. It's really bad. Like, some of the characters get better over the course of the series, but it is like classic 80s low budget dub.
I was about to say the same thing.
Like, it has been done as cheaply and quickly as possible because they don't think they're going to get much money out of it, to make sure that they get something out of it.
Well, they just got Stacey from accountings to run into a sound booth, which is actually just a repurposed closet and a microphone.
I mean, the quality of the audio recording isn't bad, so they definitely were using proper gear, but it's just like they've went for like one-day actors, like said, we will pay you one day, come in, everyone
say
comes
everything
in
on this script.
Yeah. And
don't
without
worry
context.
don't worry about anything. Just say what's written there.
Well, I mean, there's reactions don't line up with what was said before most of the time. Like, it's and Naguma's voiceover in particular is very monotone, which was the lady who...
I was going to say, the lady officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it, like, especially when he leaves her at the restaurant.
Oh, not her.
Oh.
So Naguma was their commanding officer with the long dark hair.
Her.
And she starts to talk at the very start of it, and it's monotone. And then
she's the one in the Patlabor at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, see, that's something I'm confused about as well, because they then have the girl who comes back called Clancy, and she's like, here for business or pleasure? And she goes, neither, combat. And it's like, you wouldn't say that at customs.
I mean, that sounds like pleasure to me. Let's throw hands.
Yeah. Also love how the giant robot police forces don't have strapped guns attached to them. They have a handgun. Like, which they have to replace the 6-shooter in. It's like, are you serious here? Very 80s. But like, there's Clancy and there's Naguma, and they look very similar, just that Clancy's shorter. That's it.
Well, I mean, they've gone for almost realistic looking in the movie, so it makes sense that not being racist.
No, but I get it as well. Like, if you have a look at like all the male stars at Hollywood, or the male white guys, they all have the same look.
Yeah.
They're all just white bread dudes.
It's my look. It's I'm white bread.
You are not what they look like, dude. You have a very unique look. Not in a bad way, but like they all look like Tom Cruise.
Well, that's yeah. They do all kind of look like Tom Cruise, actually. Tom Cruise and Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's the two main looks now.
Leave Chris. Come on.
No, but I'm not nothing bad there. Just saying they all have that look.
Yeah, they've all sort of gone for the same cookie cutter kind of style.
Yeah.
So the only way to differentiate them is like facial stuff.
But they all have the same facial hair now.
No, like facial expressions and like their eye shape, nose shape, mouth shape, ear shape.
Yeah, let's be honest. Like, they apparently have a very specific look they like for Hollywood.
Cookie cutter.
Cookie cutter. But yeah, I mean, it's not that Clancy looks necessarily exactly the same to her. It's just you never see her without the helmet on, which hides the hair. And then when she's coming through customs, she's got a big hat on and you can't see her hair. And the only reason I knew it was that coloured hair is because you see this one scene where she climbs into the robot and she's thrown her cap off to go put the helmet on.
Okay.
And I was like, is that the same person? I thought she was back at base.
Oh dear.
So yeah, like they could have done a little bit to differentiate the pilots, I think, and especially I think Clancy's meant to be American as well. So you'd think artistic style-wise they would have done something a bit different because it looks like she'd been off to America to help them set up their robots, then comes back. And it's like, okay, so are you American or are you Japanese who's been sent over there, who's, as a representative for the company, or, what's going on? Because I think it was like New York City where one of the robots was sent to.
Something like that.
Yeah. But they're like, the New York City want our giant robots. Yeah, they do. That's not dangerous at all with all those tall buildings. No, it's totally safe. Barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, it was Optimus Prime.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing will go wrong here, we swear. But look, I enjoyed it, but I have a hard time wanting to recommend it. See, I'd probably give it a 6.
Yeah.
Like I'd watch it again, especially if I was then going to watch the next few, if I was just craving that sort of mecha story. But I think there might be better sort of stories in this sort of setting out there.
I'd definitely say so.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even suggest watching it before watching the other two. You really don't need to.
Yeah, that's actually a good point because all of the films do a pretty good job of setting up their own circumstance. Like from the outset, in the first minute, you're like, hey, there's robots in this. Cool. They're used as labor force. Cool. That's all you need.
Pick up any one of them and watch it on its own. Because, I mean, it's got recurring characters and they do sort of mention the previous movies in passing, but it's not crucial to it. So it's just...
It's not like the MCU where you've got to have watched the previous ones to understand how we've gotten to where we are.
Exactly. Yeah.
And even then, like, some of them you don't.
Yeah, like
I completely skipped Eternals and I don't feel the worst for it.
I mean, Eternals is new and no one really cares about. But it's like Doctor Strange. You don't really need to watch that. Same with Ant-Man. You don't really need to watch that.
Oh, no. Ant-Man was great, though.
Ant-Man was great, but it's not crucial to the storyline.
No, it's not. It's not.
There's no Infinity Story and there's no...
Ant-Man 2 is crucial to the storyline.
Yes.
But Ant-Man 1 isn't.
No.
But then if you haven't watched Ant-Man 1, you're confused in Ant-Man 2.
He's a man with an ant suit.
And then there's a girl with a wasp suit.
And then some sort of ghost.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch Ant-Man 1, but you should.
You should, though. It's so good. If
Kevin Rudd. Paul Rudd.
Kevin Rudd. Oh, my God. I was going to say, if nothing else, watch it just for Michael Pena. Because he is amazing in it, especially whenever it's like, okay, so tell me the lowdown. And then they transition. So he's still narrating the story and he's doing the voices for all the people who are in the story.
Oh, the Mexican friend.
Yeah, Michael Pena, yeah. He's such a good actor.
He's great.
And he's just like, so, okay, so Johnny's sister said this, and there, when he goes, and she's all like, oh, no, man, I don't really like that. She's lip-synced to it. It's so good.
Can we just get him recapping the entire MCU?
I think they did something like that with him.
Oh, man. I
Not
really
the entire
hope so.
MCU, but I think he did like a recap for Ant-Man 2.
No, let's get him doing the entire MCU.
Oh, well,
I
yeah.
think that would be pretty great.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
make an entire movie out of it and it's just a road trip with him.
Wow.
Actually, that's not a bad idea to get people back into it if they don't want to go back and watch all 20 films.
Yeah, because that's like over 3,000 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one movie.
One movie.
One movie to rule them all.
It could be like the new guy who's joining their squad, and he's like, so how did you end up doing this? He's like, well, all started back in 2008.
Oh, no, wait. It started in 1950 when they gave Captain America the super soldier serum. Then they froze him. And then...
and then something happened in the 1980s, and that was to do with our boss. He lost his wife, but we got it back. It's all cool. We'll get that later.
And then this guy got abducted by aliens in the 80s, but we won't really touch on that again until like later on. And then...
I kind of want to make this now. Just like short YouTube shorts, and like go use what is it, like The thing where you can get celebrities to read messages.
Oh, Cameo.
See if you could use Cameo to ask him to do it. I know like using Cameo to get voiceover work is not okay. But if you
they do special rates for if you're using it for business or stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, I can't afford that, and we're not a Marvel podcast.
Well, yeah,
but if
also.
anyone listening does do a Marvel podcast, this is our gift
Marvelous.
to you. Do it. Make your dreams come true. But look, back to Patlabor.
Yeah, back to
tangents
the
as we go.
Patlabor of our love.
Look, you can catch this on Amazon. I think I found it on, and in some areas, I think in the UK, you will have to buy it on physical release. It's hard to get. You know what? I'm gonna just Google it again because it's been a while. I've had it sitting there.
The technology of the future.
The technology of the future, the internet. Can you watch it? Rotten Tomatoes do not like it. Yep, it is on Amazon, and I think that's it by the looks of it. It looks like it's only Amazon Prime. So, yeah, go figure. I found it on the one place I could watch it. And,
Our favorite Autobot.
Yeah. Well, if you want, you can buy the DVD for $26 off at Amazon, or the Blu-ray Collector's Edition for $100.
Whoa.
Wow.
Or can I say
sorry.
I'd rather not?
That's a DVD Collector's Edition for $100. Used from $20. Blu-ray $35 used. So yeah, last was released in 2015 was the last physical release they did for it. That looks like this might be for the second film as well. Yeah, no, second film is Blu-ray, first film is DVD only. So yeah, there is a HD release out there somewhere, but go figure. Now you know. Oh wow, okay, I found it. I found it. It is the ultimate Blu-ray special edition collector box. It has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 discs. Not kidding. Not kidding.
So what does it
That will
everything?
be all 3 films, all the OVAs, all the series.
Wow.
For $61.
I mean, it seems alright.
That's not bad.
I'm actually considering that.
Like, if it was anything more than $100, they would have to pay me to take that off their hands.
Yeah.
For $60 is not bad.
$60 isn't bad.
Pretty good for everything.
Everything, yeah.
Like, wow, I was not expecting such a good deal. And it's on Blu-ray, which means they've all been upscaled too.
So we'll put our PO box in the comment section. You just mail it to us, and we'll thank you on the podcast.
Someone called Yada Yada has reviewed this, and it's a 5-star, best purchase of 2020. Patlabor is possibly one of the greatest franchises to ever exist. It seamlessly combines the mundane melancholy of daily life, office work, police bureaucracy, humour, and tops it off with political intrigue and plots of coup d'etat. Buy this series and watch everything.
Wow, this person must be...
They're a hardcore
They got
fan.
paid.
nice.
They got paid to review that.
Yeah.
Well, they all do say not your typical mecha anime. You know, they say it's all dubbed except new files is sub only. That's why it doesn't say dubbed as the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, like, look, the dub isn't great. Let's just be blunt here. The dub is not great, and if you're going to watch it subbed, I think. And even then, you can.
It's still tough.
It's still tough.
Yeah, I was going to say dub was the only way I could watch it because I couldn't dedicate 100% of my attention to it.
Yeah.
Because if I did, I would have actually fallen asleep watching it.
Yeah.
I needed stimulation at the same time.
Okay, so it looks like the multi-format version of just part 1 of the TV collection is $30. So buy the full collection if you're going to go in, because 2 parts of the series collection is only 30 episodes, or you can get the whole thing for the same price.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of intrigued actually. I'm a bookmark that. Might come back to you later.
We'll post our Amazon wish list for Wi-Fi.
Oh, actually, can I even buy it on Amazon AU? Okay, Amazon AU, it's $130 because of the exchange rate.
Okay, yeah, they will have to pay me. I am not paying for that.
Ooh, that's kind of cool looking. That looks a lot more like Ghost in the Shell design.
Yes.
Oh,
Is that in the
yeah.
latter films?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's in 2? Yes,
2.
that's in 2.
Okay.
That
because there's
reminds me of a
2 of
recent
them.
anime as well that has that.
Yeah.
You know, the girl with the thing, and
Yeah.
she's got the little
little
white
dot.
thing that follows her. And
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
it looks like it's from that.
Yeah, what was that? That's like 5 years old, yeah?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
old now.
Old now. So it's a girl who, it's a tech series, and she's got a little mecha companion. It's where the AI body sits in. It's sort of similar to what They did in Godzilla Singular Point.
My
with
brain
May, but-
defaulted to Vivi when you said all of that.
Hey, it could work for Vivi.
Like the cube bot?
Nah.
Kind of looks vaguely.
No. I mean, there are elements, but I mean, that's kind of the whole mecha
Yeah, true.
thing, isn't it? Yeah. For those who haven't seen Vivi Fluorite
Do it.
song, do it.
It's good.
It might be a musical, as in music listed as it. It's not a musical as in
not-
singing and
it's
dancing. It's a hardcore sci-fi future paradoxical series
It's if they took Patlabor and turned it up to an 11 out of 5.
and added
It's like
good music.
iRobot.
Yeah.
Robots. Do you remember that?
no.
Disney's robots.
Look, Robots was great.
It was great. It was.
The aunt was the best character, not specifying why. If you know why, you know why.
Cool. I'm just having a look. There's a lot of old school series which have had the Blu-ray upgrade in recent years. So they've got Jinro, which is the Wolf Brigade, which also these guys did. They've got Wicked City and Demon City Shinjuku. They've got FLCL Complete Collection in full Blu-ray.
Hell yeah, fully
like
coolly.
there's a lot. Paprika as well. Yeah, do not ingest anything that could change your perspective if you're watching Paprika. Like, that's not okay. Armored Troop Votum's record of Lotus War OVA and Chronicles of Heroic Knights, which is a mecha series as well. That aren't. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. That's bad. That's bad. Beautiful. So, look, if you are going to do it, your mileage is going to vary depending on where in the world you are, unfortunately. I haven't put it into because.moe, and I'm going to do that now just in case, because I think this is probably worth, verifying. But while I do that, I think it's time we get stuck into the anime news.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Tonight on Anime Communique.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Nothing brings ratings up like a little controversy.
Well, I have some good news. Patlabor is on High Dive, and it appears to be High Dive worldwide too. Oh. And that's, okay, no, not here in Australia. Never mind.
Ouch.
I got excited. So use your VPN and High Dive in the US and Canada? Yep, Canada as well. So
There's your controversy.
There's your controversy. Use
That
a
and
VPN.
Attack on Titan isn't great.
We'll agree to disagree, but I definitely would not rate it above Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Dude, nothing's above Full Metal.
I know, right? It's the perfect anime.
Also, you got a bit of an Aaron going on with that shirt and your hair pulled back.
I just noticed as well, because I'm getting to the point where I need a haircut, so my hair's got
and then
quite
you got
long.
like the 3 buttons and then the...
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm taking my shirt off now. I don't want to be Aaron.
No, I'm Aaron.
God, here we go all over again. So, on the note of controversy, Rising of the Shield Hero is coming back.
Yes.
So, Rise of the Shield Hero Season 2 is slated for April 6th premiere. It is one of the many, many series returning next month. Holy cow. This season
Super exciting.
is going to be amazing, but horrifying with how much there is.
I love all the returns and I can't wait for Tiger and Bunny to come back.
Yeah, is that
Tiger
this season
and Bunny.
2?
I don't know if it's this season, but I want it. Because
Yeah,
that's one of the things we
I
bonded
totally
over.
had this recap of Tiger and Bunny today because of unpacking Scott's
Costume?
all of his figures and stuff. They're all Tiger and Bunny.
Yeah,
So I was
'cause
like,
it's-
oh.
Oh, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, guys.
Yes. Is it soon?
April 8th.
Yes!
That's what's listed.
Jeez.
It's listed as ONA, original net animation, but that's because it's going to be on Netflix. So release process is going to be the question. Because it could be April 8 Japan only, and then
Yeah.
6 months later because it's 25 episodes.
Because you had an amazing blue rose. The ball outfit?
Oh, yeah.
You like it was all right.
Scott had the, what's the bison? Rock bison. The helmet.
Is it Rock Bison?
Yeah. Pretty sure it's rock bison.
Rock Bison? Okay.
Because he turns into a
Is
rock body.
Is it?
Yeah.
Heroes are
I
cool.
want to say Iron Bison.
Iron Bison.
Oh.
Armored.
Well,
Okay. I like
and
the
then-
flamingo. Is it the flamingo guy? You know the guy?
It's
He's fabulous.
Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem. Is it?
Yes. I remember because it's the same
He's
name as
like-
the game.
Fabulous?
Yes. The darker skinned guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
The queer representation in that media.
Yeah.
Well, the controversy's over now. So
Well, it's not controversial. You need
no, I'm talking about Rising of Shield here. I've gone completely off topic. But Tiger and Bunny April apparently. So we'll know in 2 weeks, because if it's meant to be airing, we'll have a release platform.
Yeah, true.
So that we'll know if it's meant to be.
Start watching Tiger and Bunny now so that you're ready for when the next season comes out.
It's great. It's great. Now, Rising of Shield Hero will be back April 6th. Now, this is a very different story from this point on.
Oh?
So, I've read the manga. I'm almost up to date. So, we've gotten past the whole, I'm a downtrodden person, everything's awful, everyone's betrayed me. We've gotten past that. That's done.
You say that like it's all his fault.
No, I'm not. But
I was passionate about the show.
I was very passionate about all that going on, but now that it's been done and everyone's had their whinge about it,
and he's finally got his place with the 4 heroes.
Yep. Now things are a lot more interesting. So that was good to begin with, but now, and all the fan art for this, all the preview art is a giant wandering turtle with a mountain on its back.
Turtle.
So cool.
It is very important. It is literally the core thing for this season.
Okay, so like it's an abnormally large size, right?
It's like the size of a city.
So you could say that's like a mutation, right?
Like a giant ninja turtle?
I mean...
Well, actually, it does have Japanese shrines on it.
Did they just like find the turtle and they were just like kaplunk? You know?
Well, apparently it's a wandering turtle, which is a shrine to do with the heroes, and it's ancient.
There is no greater shield than a turtle. He is the original shield hero.
The turtle is corrupted. Ninja Turtles.
Watch out for Shredder.
Yeah. So this story brings in all those parallel heroes.
Oh.
And there's more than just one set of parallel heroes. Oh. So there's a lot more going on than meets the eye, and even in the manga we still haven't been told how this all interconnects. But we did learn in the end of the last season that there is a parallel world which has their heroes, and they've been told they have to go to the main world that we're in because they're the bad guys and help invade it to protect their world. If they don't, the waves come to their world.
Okay, so it's like those Kamen Rider Power Ranger crossovers where like they're told that the other guys are the bad guys and they have to go get them, but then they find out that the bad guys were the bad guys, the good guys were the bad guys, and the bad guys are the good guys. And I'm just going to put it out there, for those who've watched it, Glass, who we've seen several times with her fans, she's awesome. Like, she's a brilliant villain, and she's an even better when you get to know like the story of what they've gone through. I just want more Squirrel Girl.
What, Raphtalia?
Yes.
There's going to be a... I don't know how far into the manga they'll get for this, now that I'm thinking just how far it goes, because there is a situation which arises which involves parallel worlds and transit between them.
Okay.
And it changes things.
Oh, she disappears.
Everyone disappears.
So there's a situation which arises regarding the shield hero.
Yes.
So it's the...
It's the arising of the situation of the shield hero. So Mad Kid, the guys who did last 2 openings for it, are back again to do it again. And it was originally meant to premiere October 2021, but COVID. So, yeah.
Do we get to kick the princess's butt some more? Because I would love to kick her butt some more.
I can't remember where we ended it because I started reading the manga during it.
I'm pretty sure it ended just after...
The renaming?
The renaming, yeah.
I don't think so. I think they kind of are in the background, the princess and the king. But the queen and the other princess play important roles going forward.
That's right. The queen was the good one.
Because it was a matriarchy.
Yeah, and the king was a...
Yeah, and she was away dealing with other kingdoms and being nice to them, and the king was like, I'm going to go do my own thing.
Being an entitled brat.
Yes. Now, on the note of entitled brats, jobless reincarnate... No, I'm kidding.
I enjoyed that show.
I'm kidding. So, Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnated Season 2 has been announced.
Yes.
Now, you and I have had this discussion before. I am not a fan of perverted main characters. I really struggle with them because I feel like it encourages that behavior. Now, that's not to say that immediately disqualifies an anime from being good. It just means that I won't watch it. I refuse straight up to watch Plunderer because of the way that they treat all the other characters through the main character. It's like, that's an 80s thing. That was a joke in the 80s. It doesn't fit with the modern world.
Well, like, so the main character is a reincarnated teenager, essentially.
isn't he like a 30? The story follows a 34-year-old man who was
Then
killed
he
after
hasn't
trying to
grown
save
up.
someone. He soon finds himself reincarnated in a magical world as a baby with all his knowledge from his previous life and a new heaping helping of magical abilities. Rudius quickly becomes a formidable warrior ready for adventure. Oh, and he's still a total pervert. That's literally the official synopsis.
Okay, well, basically, he gets a lot of trauma in high school and doesn't move past it, and nobody supports him. So that's what happened in his real life, which is why, And then he gets reincarnated, and he doesn't know any better. But then people in this lifetime, in this world, start to teach him better.
But
so
look,
there is character growth.
Yeah.
He can't get to 34 years old without knowing that it's inappropriate to.
He's a NEET. He spends all his time
Yeah.
online, probably in echo chambers, just playing video games.
Yeah, it's a total different culture over there. You know?
It's easy to forget that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
So it's very easy to see how he could go from that, and then
That does make a lot more sense now that you've explained it.
and then in this world,
He gets
because of that
past it.
support, because
Which is great.
he does this whole thing where he relives his trauma, and then he
Yeah.
sees the difference, and he actively makes the decision not to follow the same path.
So an event occurs where he's basically put into a traumatic situation, which is similar, and he uses his prior
Right at
knowledge
the end
to.
of the
Yeah.
because you know the scene I'm talking about at the camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, so the key question is going to be is if he's still a pervert in season 2.
I mean, I think he will be, but they'll play it down a lot more.
Okay.
I think it's more of perverted opportunities are provided to him. He just doesn't take them.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
he doesn't take any of them.
Okay, that's better.
As a kid, he kind of does, but then
Yeah,
I mean,
but it's
I
because
couldn't
he
get-
hasn't gotten
I
to
couldn't
that
get
point yet where
past
he's-
that. That's the point where I stopped. I think I watched 2 or 3 episodes, and I went, I'm just kind of not okay with this.
But
Well,
character development.
I know
that
but
part with Eris that broke his heart. That's where you see the character development just do like a.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a case of the same gag over and over. It's we get to a point, and then boom, things start evolving. He starts maturing. He starts.
Oh, it doesn't start. It just happens. Like it splits hard.
Okay, cool. Because I mean, remember we were discussing this with what was it? The horror.
Oh, Miruko-chan?
Miruko-chan. And we found it really hard to keep watching it because of the constant angles that were being used, which, for the story weren't necessary.
Well, I was going to say, the thing with Kakegurui that we were talking about earlier, I'm glad that it didn't do the same path as Miruko-chan.
Well, Miruko-chan, after episode 4, tones it down. And then the story is actually really good.
Really? Because I thought it picked back up after that.
It picked back up in episode 4 and 5, and then 6 through to 12, I didn't see it. I think there was maybe 1.
Okay.
And the story from there is like it got in its stride and went, wow, we've got a good story. We've got to focus on this.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Okay.
Like, if you can get past those to the halfway mark, it's actually, I'd give it an 8.
Dang.
That's how much I enjoyed it once we got past it.
Okay.
The first half I'd give a 3, and that's the problem. So, it rounds out to about a 6 or 5. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens if they do a season 2.
I really hope they do it.
Because I think
2.
now that it's grown up a bit, and it sounds like Jobless Reincarnated is the same, that, once you get past that initial, okay, we've got to get this all out of the way, and that, from a writer's point of view, I can see it being an approach to get those people interested into it and then dropping the good story on them because they know that
it's also a
sells.
Good chance to show a character growing and developing instead of just, this character's always been great and sort of just continue it through there because that's don't get me wrong, I enjoy that, but seeing character growth really gets you attached to a character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when it's as steep as what Rudius is going through.
There's a reason why everyone thinks Konosuba is so funny because Kazuya never grows up, and it's like everything in Konosuba is a commentary on the isekai genre. Him not growing up is a commentary. Megumin being, useless, but she's kept around.
That's
is a
Aqua.
commentary. Well, they're all useless actually. Now I think about it, but they're all tropes that you see for all of those characters. Don't get me wrong, I love Megumin as a character. I think she's hilarious. But I'm also aware that once she shoots her explosion and she still refuses to learn anything else, she's useless. She's a liability. And that's the case for a lot of the, characters that they add in on isekai series. Like, they are brought in to create a harem for the main character, despite them actually contributing less to the situation by being in that circumstance, by being a love interest. If they weren't a love interest, they would be more useful. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's why I love Konosuba, because it's just so on the nose about the commentary of the industry. But it's good to see that, some of these other series that are basically using, a bit of ecchi content to get people in are then pulling back from it to then go, okay, you're in, here's the story.
Well, like, the big stories revolving the gods and, like, what he's going to do with the dragon god, because he's fated to fight the dragon god. He's already met him. He already died to the dragon god.
Okay, and he got better.
Basically. He spoke to the human god, and the human god was like, oh, okay. But the human god is who brought him into that world, and he's like, yes, do this. That's definitely a good idea. And so he'll do it, and it'll bite him in the butt.
Wrong? What could possibly go wrong?
So he's got, like, trust issues with the human god.
Yeah, that makes sense, though. Like, if they've been messing you around a lot, you don't want to...
Yeah, but the human god brought him in to deal with the dragon god.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's really... You don't know what's going to happen because there's no reliable sort of figurehead driving the story. You've got to be like, okay, are they actually doing that for good purpose, or is it for their own entertainment?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the question whenever you have gods involved in a series, is whether they are there for, the greater good or just looking for something to pass the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
like Death Note.
I mean, yeah, literally. So there was an unaired episode of Jobless Reincarnation, which was where they announced the this preview screening of it on I think it was about a week ago now.
Yeah, wasn't that Iris's story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where they announced the sequel. They don't have a date at this stage, but I'm sure we'll know more in the future. Staff says they will announce the broadcast date and other details later. So once it does come around, we will do that. Now, just on the manga front, Dr. Stone has ended. It has ended on exactly the same date it started. Exactly 5 years.
Oh, I thought you meant like day one, stop. So
it first started, the first chapter was on March 2017 on the March 4 version which came out, and it has ended in the March 4 edition of Weekly Shonen Jump as well. So exactly 5 years apart. Now, I'm not going to mention the ending, but apparently people aren't happy with it.
Okay.
It's kind of a mixed bag, but from everything I've read, it sounds like it's the way it was always going to end. It doesn't sound rushed. It doesn't sound like they've changed anything for the sake of anything, but it sounds like the type of ending that would fit this type of series.
That was supposed to happen.
Yeah. So that's done, but there is apparently going to be a bonus chapter coming out when that OVA comes out in the middle of the year. So I don't know if that's meant to go alongside it or if it'll be like an epilogue or what.
Okay. Will there be a movie?
No. There's nothing announced in that regard. We just know that season 3 is in the works, but we don't know when that's coming. Oh. So, at least it's been set. Yeah, we know season 3 is in the works. They had the preview at the end of season 2 with the ship and all that, because they're going sailing. Okay, anime 3rd season premiere in 2023.
Okay.
So hopefully that's first quarter of 2023, but it's still a long way away. And we also need to mention Jujutsu Kaisen 0.
Jujutsu Kaisen!
So exciting!
Yes, now Jujutsu Kaisen 0's film has its English subtitled trailer and has international release dates now for Europe. So France, Belgium, Luxembourg are getting it on May 16, Germany, Austria, Switzerland on March 29th. We're getting it end of next week, but we already have it. Because I've been having chats with Crunchyroll and they gave us a copy of the screener. So we're going to watch that tonight, which is going to be good.
Very nice of them.
It's very nice of them.
Thank you, Crunchyroll. We love you.
So we'll be putting out a review on that probably the day after this podcast goes out. So, yay. Hooray for,
Get ready for that if you listen to this.
Yes. Now, I believe it lands on March 18th in the US and Canada. It opened in Japan December 24th, and I believe it opens in England this week as well, in the UK. So I'm not sure exactly when, but we've got it end of the week as well, March 18. So, we'll have had a look at it. We'll give our opinion on it and let you know if it's worth watching. I'm pretty sure it's going to be good.
Yoaimo.
But yeah, and with that brings us to the end of today's episode.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
I had to use that sting. I mean, we're talking Dr. Stone. You
Yeah.
gotta use the bagpipes, which make no
do.
sense. Kira Lee has been chosen by the cat. Liger is sitting on her lap now. Now, thank you very much for listening. It is where we're going to leave things for this episode. And next time, it is time for a new anime season. 'Tis upon us, the spring season, and it's jam-packed. So, we will not be able to cover everything, and we're not going to try to. It would just be silly, but we are going to mention the ones that we think is worth checking out. So each of us will pick at least one new anime, because there's a lot coming, and there'll also be sequels in there as well for others to, have a bit of a squiz out, and ones that we're very excited are returning. There's a lot, like Love is War is coming,
Tiger and Bunny.
Tiger and Bunny, there's so much. Shield Hero, all things mentioned in this episode, but there's so many more, and it's going to be hard to keep up next season, I think.
The shows start coming and they don't stop 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 coming.
You good?
Yeah.
You good? Okay,
got it all
cool.
out. And they don't stop coming.
Now, if you have enjoyed what you've heard, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and join us for future episodes. If you are listening on YouTube, hit that like button too, and let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Obviously, on that note of YouTube, we have 3 videos in the works at the moment.
3.
So we have the review of Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which will be out the moment the embargo is lifted when we can. We also have a new section called Kawaii Tries, which I will probably put out after I've finished moving house.
Totally.
But I've already edited a big chunk of it.
You've put in some decent memes.
Oh, there's a lot of good memes in there. There's
and there's some good kawaii cries in there.
There is a good kawaii cry. Then we also have a explainer coming up as well, focused on Lupin the Third. So keep your eyes open for that. It's one of our big kawaii anime explainer videos. Now, if you would like to support the channel, we also have a Patreon.
Yay.
I know, what a surprise. So we share extra content such as episode outtakes, video extras, and what we call the pre-show, which is a 10-minute chat we tend to have while we're setting up and getting ready before every episode. It is not for children. So
especially not today's, which involved Kyle's dodgy search history.
That sounds worse than it is, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's now involves Kyle having a dodgy search history after what I Googled.
You're welcome.
Now, you can find all our details for that in the description of the episode, but if you can afford to support us, it will be greatly appreciated. If you do want to know what we're doing, come join the Kawaii-Fi community on our social media channels. We've got breaking anime news, memes and videos. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Discord, and like everyone, we're making those memes where we go, have you joined the Discord?
It's full of discourse.
It is, actually.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there. And with that, you've been listening to Kawaii-Fi Radio. Thank you for joining us, and until next time,
watch some anime!